Hey, welcome to the Ring Muscle Up tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to go through the precursors to be able to achieve the exercise, including mobility and strength, the methods in terms of getting piece by piece how to put together your ring muscle up, and then the full reps at the end. So this is very much a from zero to hero beginner's exercise, or maybe someone who's already got a ring muscle up but would like to clean up their technique. Let's do it. So the first precursor exercise that we need to make sure that you can achieve before you do a ring muscle up is going to involve your ability to make the false grip shape, because when we do a ring muscle up, we're keeping our wrist over the actual ring so that when you get to the top of the chin up, we can transition into the dip easily. If you can't maintain a false grip and you fall back into a normal grip, you'll find that the actual transition from chin up to dip is really difficult, and it requires a ridiculous amount of power. It's not that it's impossible, it's just much, much harder, and you need much, much more power and strength when, if you can achieve it with a false grip, you might already be in the game. So a good exercise to check that we've got the wrist flexion and strength to do that, because it's fine to be able to push and have that range, but we need to actively have that range prior to actually getting on the rings. So a great foundational exercise is to have backs of the hands on the ground, fists together, and see if you can come up and lock your elbows without your hands opening up. So if you were to push up and your hands that are open, then you know you're not going to be able to maintain a false grip. Or if you push up and maybe even just one finger opens, same deal. So we want to be able to come up into that locked out position, flexed forearm, keeping the hand closed, because like I said, if that opens, you're not going to be able to do it. Okay, that's step one. The next foundation you need to have is obviously some chin-up strength, because if you can't do a pull-up, we can't be in the game. So a basic foundation to begin with, obviously we want to be able to do this with false grip eventually, but for now is to make sure that you can do 3 strict ring chin-ups. I think 3 is enough for you to be able to focus on one good ring muscle up rep. So hanging in a passive hang, lean back, retract, pull, chest to get contact with the rings, back down to hanging. If you can get 3 of those, you're in the game. Final precursor to be able to doing a ring muscle up, you've got your false grip mobility, you've got your ring chin-ups, ring dips is obviously the last piece to the puzzle to make sure you have these down before getting into the methods. So with the ring muscle up technique, there's an emphasis of turnout at the top of the dip. So we want to make sure that we can start with a ring support like this, lower down into the dip, press back out into ring support. Three reps like that is the foundation. So making sure you have that as well in your game, because it's all well and good to be able to get to the top of the false grip, to get to the top of the ring muscle up, but then you got to be able to press out to lock it out. And you'll find some people will kip through a muscle up, but they won't be able to finish the rep. We have actual false grip. Now, this is probably one of the hardest parts to get used to in the beginning, because you're literally conditioning that skin now to build a callus to be able to handle the movement, because a lot of the force and friction as you move through a ring muscle up will be directly on there. So on your wrist, I'd like you to find the base of your hand, the crease of where your hand turns, and just on the corner of the palm there, you've got what's called a PC form, this bit of cartilage. Now we want to use that as our little anchor point for the ring. so that when you sit up, you grip nice and high on the ring, and then you pull down so that that PC form is sitting directly over. So that when we do any kind of false grip work, you can maintain that position as you move through, rather than falling back into the chin up. So this will take some conditioning. You need to practice this position and get used to putting weight into it. One way to do that to begin with is just to get your hands on like this. I'm kneeling on the ground right now, obviously, and just start pressing into that and getting used to body weight, pulling down on one side. You just start to build some strength and some calluses in that position. All right, now we're going to move into the hang variations of that. So the three positions that we need to make sure we can have with false grip is the top of a chin up. So this position here, where thumbs are in contact with the chest. Then 90 degree, still maintaining false grip. And then to the hang, still maintaining false grip. So 1, 2, and 3. False grip throughout, because if we can't maintain that position, there's no way we'll transition into the ring dip. And even if you get one out, we need to be able to maintain it to be able to do multiple reps. So that's false grip. Grip at the top of the ring, slide hand down, PC form sits over the ring with pressure, and you maintain that. All right, the next piece of the puzzle for ring muscle ups is the transition. So we know we need the chin up, the dip, and then the ability to hold false grip. And then the middle piece that we need to go through now is the actual transition of how you move from chin up to dip. So if you were to look at your chest, meeting where those thumbs were touching in that false grip position, we want to imagine that there's a semicircle around our pecs, outlining our pecs. So that when you do this, it's almost like you're gripping and ripping your shirt apart. That's the action we want. Think Hulk, tear it apart. So just to practice to begin with, if you will get your false grip, imaginary, thumbs on the chest, and then lean back, but as you're bringing that outline down, once you pass the nipple line, you start to transition into the dip, and then retrace back up to the false grip. So now we're going to do that with the rings. I'd suggest keeping your feet on the ground until you feel really comfortable with the position. So we get our false grip, we move into the top of a chin up, we transition and trace the chest through to the dip. Retrace back as you lean back. Now this is a progression that you can start to practice. So I'm using both legs at the moment, but I'm lifting my feet off the ground at the top and then lifting my feet off the ground at the bottom so that you practice the strength at the end range. And then we can start to do it with one leg. So you use the upper body more, or you can put a box behind you with your foot on to then put more weight through it. So you begin to practice reps more with your arm and less with using your legs and just moving through the motion. And like all things like chin-ups with a foot on the box, these kind of examples, you only need to use your legs as much as you need to. So really get intuitive with how much support you need as you practice the movement. Because the better you can get them here, when you start to go for the full rep, it'll be easy because you know the transition, you rip the shirt and pull through. So next we have ring muscle up eccentrics. So this is where we're just practicing from the top of the dip, we're lowering down through the transition into a false grip hang. Now, for this to go right, you need to do it nice and slow and really think about the movement. Some people will get to the transition at the bottom of the dip and just drop. So it's really important to keep that really tight on that transition, because if you can't do an eccentric full range, you'll find when it comes to the concentric on the way up, the strength's just not there to pull through, okay? A little note on chalk. Chalk the whole hand that's going to be gripping on the ring, but also apply quite a bit of chalk to where that PC form is and a little bit further down on the wrist, as mentioned, because that's where most of the friction, the contact will be. And if you practice too many of these, you might pull skin here. So good to get some chalk on there or some tape just to support you through the process. So first of all, you want to get up just however you can. Once at the top of the dip, we're going to come down slowly, leaning the chest forward into the bottom of the ring dip. Maintain the false grip as we come around, and then slowly lower down into the hang. Each piece of the process should be as slow and as controlled as possible. Obviously when it starts, it's going to be really intense and difficult, but the better you can get at these eccentrics, the easier it's going to be to get a full ring muscle up. Now I'd suggest someone should be able to hit 5 reps in a row of a ring muscle up eccentric before they feel like they can go get a full one. That just means you've got the movement pattern down and you have the strength to be able to attempt a full ring muscle up. Guys, and finally, you have your full ring muscle ups. So practicing everything you've learned, quick transition and press into the dip. Good luck. Thanks for watching. And finally, you have your full ring muscle ups. So practicing everything you've learned, quick transition and press into the dip. Good luck. Thanks for watching.